Your tomatoes need support. Are you going to choose a cage or will you choose stakes? We're going to talk about 3 different kinds of cages to choose from, and one of them's not so good. And I'm going to show you how to build this system of stakes for when you have a ton of tomatoes that need support. I like the look of it. Makes my spring garden look official.
All I have needs I have not provided.
Kind of looks like an obstacle course. These tomato plants have grown a lot and they're ready for some support. And there's lots of different ways you can do that, but I'm going to talk to you about tomato cages and staking them. First, I want to talk to you about tomato cages. There's good ones and there's some that aren't so good. My favorite is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4 rings, 4 supporting legs. They are a little bit more expensive than some kind, but they'll last you for many seasons. It's worth the investment. I actually found mine at the end of a season and got a good price on them. This one is not my favorite. It might work. It's only 3 rings deep, 3 supporting legs. These tomato plants are going to outgrow this support in probably about 3 or 4 weeks. And my least favorite one, actually it's not even my least favorite one, it's useless. It's flimsy. By the time you get this put down into the earth, it's only going to be about that tall. And look, the tomato plants have already grown to the point that they're going to outgrow this in a couple of weeks. I don't even know why they sell these. Maybe to people like me that didn't know better. The other thing I want to talk to you about are wooden stakes. I'm going to bring this one up closer so you can see. This is a pretty good thick stake. I think this is about 1 inch square. I like stakes. They work. And they'll last for more than 1 season. Here in Florida, the ground is so wet all the time that what happens is that the bottom will rot, and when you pull it up, well, the bottom's gone. So they don't last as long as your wire cages that are covered with whatever that material is, but they will work. And they're a good price, too. I do recommend that you get the heavier ones. There are some more that are thinner. They don't last very long, and you need more of them to support the weight of the tomato plants as they grow. So I'm going to put the cages out, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to drive these into the ground with my hammer. I like to lay them all out just to kind of give me a rough idea of how many I need. I ran out of the ones that have 4 legs, so I'm going to have to resort to a couple of them that have 3 legs. But that's okay, it'll still work. There's going to be other cages next to them that are more sturdy. These are 3 beefsteak tomato plants, and there's a basil down in there in the middle. So just ease this down in between the tomato plants. You can put more than 1 tomato plant in each cage. So I'm going to put that down just a little bit, and then actually I'm going to move this. What I want is to get this stem and these leaves down into the middle. Now when you're moving the tomato branches, just do it slowly and they will bend with you. And if you break a branch here and there, it'll be okay. Very slowly pull this guy in there. Check and see if there's any more that need to come up in there. In one of my short videos, I explained that I don't cut all the suckers off. I'm going to wait and see how they're all growing, and I want to leave plenty of the bushy tops to protect the tomatoes from the sunshine that is so intense here in Florida. Now these two are not tall enough to feed up through there, but they will be, and at that time that's when I'll feed them in as well. Now these plants aren't quite tall enough to be fished through very well. I don't know if that's going to stay, but if you're very, very gentle, they'll go in the direction you want them to go in. I'll just keep an eye on these. Within 2 or 3 days, they'll be tall enough to start growing up through the middle. So this first stick needs to be beyond the tomato plant. This is a mustard plant, just in case you're curious, and I've got dill growing here. And there's basil up underneath the shade cloth there. You need to watch my videos about basil, and you'll see what that's all about. Oh, look what I found. A broken piece of one of these. So get extras, because that's going to happen. So I'm going to make a straight line, or straight-ish line, down this bed, and I'm going to be wrapping string around it. So I want there to be a stake every 12 inches, no more than 18 inches, and then we'll wrap the string around after they're all in the ground. The other method is to put the stake up closer to the tomato plant and then tie the tomato plant to the stake. But I have 2 rows of tomatoes here, and I just don't want to do that. There's an easier way. Now one year I bought nylon mesh, and they were about 3-inch squares. I thought that was really cool. Staple them onto the stake, drive them in, pull them out at the end of the season, roll them up, use them again the next season. So first of all, it took me forever to get the vines out, and then I finally rolled it up, brought it back out the next season, and even though I was careful to roll them up, untangling that mess was horrible. So I did away with it. Never used it again. I'd rather take the time to pound these stakes in, put up the string that's going to be cut and thrown away at the end of the season, and do it again the next season. A lot less frustrating. This is cotton string that was on a card and I rewound it into a ball. I don't know, it's just my preference. So you start out at the bottom and just make a knot. If you know how to make a square knot, that's probably really good, but I don't think it makes that much difference. So now what I'm going to do is wind it around over the top. You don't have to tie it every single stake. It might help if you do every few, but I'm kind of lazy and I don't, and it works. So here I go. And since this one came out on this side, so, okay, see, here this one was on that side, brought it around to my side of this stake. Now I'm going to bring it around over here on that side. That's just my method. There's no true science to this. Just make sure the string is tight. Now I'm at the end, and this mustard plant's kind of in the way. But I wanted you to see what I'm going to do here because I have a tomato plant that is in need here. So I've come around my side of the stake here with the string, and I'm pulling tight, and I'm just gently on this plant here, but yet pulling the string tight. I'm going to loop it up and pull that as tight as I can. And if you feel like you need that to be tied once again, feel free. Kind of will test your ambidextrity. Is that the right word? How about coordination? Now, you're going to come up, wind a couple of times, keeping it tight, only about 6 inches. And you're going to gently put that tomato vine on that side. Wind it around and work on down to the end again. And it just so happens that this works contrary to the first one. I guess if you were a real mathematical nerd, you would figure out how many stakes it takes to do that. It just happened by chance for me. It's not going to make any difference as far as the strength of the string holding up your tomato plants. So they're 6 to 8 inches apart from each other. And now I'm going to go that way one last time and finish it off. The top is a lot easier to do than the bottoms because you're just winding it around the top. If you have your stakes pounded in really good and tight, it really doesn't matter how this goes as long as you've got space in between to wind the vines through. I've got 2 tomato plants going up through one cage. This one's going to have 3 tomato plants going up through one cage. I feel like Count Dracula. This one's going to have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 tomato plants going into one tomato cage. You can tell I've raised a lot of kids. And this one's going to have at least 3 plants going in, possibly 4. I may put an extra one for this one down here on the end.
Join me as I garden through the seasons. I'll teach you how to grow lots of veggies, and we'll talk about the real things that happen in real gardens.
So here's a couple that have grown quite a bit, and the secret to getting them to come up underneath a line of string is to be gentle and slow. Slow, slow, slow. He will grow tall and upward. Don't worry that it's sideways now. It'll be okay. This one, I'm going to fish up through this side slowly, slowly. Oh, I see a bloom already. I don't want blooms yet. I'm going to pinch it off. Now, this one is not quite tall enough. It may not stay. At this stage, they're growing so fast that it's really important for you to come out every day, at least every other day, and be sure that you're weaving them in and out of this string. It's been a week since I put the stakes in and wound the string around. When I was tying the last bit of string, it broke, and then I thought, well, the string is probably going to be breaking as the plants grow up. So I bought some jute cord from Walmart. It's in the craft section. It's 400 feet for less than $3, tax included. And I do prefer to get an all-natural cord as opposed to nylon. Nylon is stronger, but when I break this down, I don't want the hassle of having to take that nylon cord off the stakes, because I'm going to save the stakes for next year, but I'm not going to be saving all that nylon cord. So this way, if the string goes on the ground, I'm just going to leave it, and it'll just be part of my dirt next year. So this concludes Stage 2, staking your tomatoes. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bar, because I will have more videos on tomatoes, peppers, and herbs.
You may have heard me refer to my garden journal. I refer to mine all the time. Mine is about 10 years old now, and it really is a help. I've made one for you to print out, or if you want to do an electronic version like I have, both versions are found in my Etsy shop. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful.